How do organisms reproduce? The ability to produce new organisms by the organisms is known as reproduction. So there are two types of reproduction. One is asexual, the other is sexual. So asexual and sexual reproduction are the two types of reproduction. Asexual reproduction. So in this mode of reproduction, only one parent is required. Only one parent is required. So there are different types of different modes of asexual reproduction. Fission. Fission is defined as the splitting, or you can say it's a splitting of organism into two halves. See, this is amoeba. Now it breaks into two halves, and you can say two new organisms or two new daughters. Amoeba, bacteria. This is binary fission. So the division of organisms like the bacteria into two or more parts is binary fission. Is fission, and binary is for two. So binary can be irregular also. It can take in any plane. It can be longitudinal. It can be transverse. It can be oblique. Fragmentation. This is also a mode of asexual reproduction. In this, what happens? The organism would break into pieces like this. Break into pieces, and this each piece will give rise to a new organism like the Spirogyra, planaria. They produce or reproduce by fragmentation. Regeneration. Now regeneration is the ability to form new organisms from the body parts. Body parts. So this body part, see, this is an adult hydra. So it will amputate itself. So there will be a body part, and this body part, or you can say cut or broken body parts, they will generate a new organism. This is a new organism, and they'll grow into adult hydra. This is the regeneration of hydra. Also, planarians, they show regeneration. Budding. If you see this, this is a hydra. So there is a very small bud. Now this outgrow, and there is a proper growth of this bud, and this outgrowth, once it's quite mature, then it comes out. It detaches itself from the main body, and there is a new independent organisms being formed. Hydra and yeast, they reproduce by budding. Vegetative reproduction is also a type of asexual reproduction. So in this form of reproduction, the stem, the root, the leaves, different parts of a plant, they are used to form plants, but there are certain suitable conditions that they should be in order to grow. Layering and cutting, these are two common methods used for vegetative propagation. For example, banana, rose, jasmine. So the plant being produced through this vegetative reproduction is genetically identical to the parent plant. Cutting, layering, grafting. So cutting involves what? Rooting of the severed piece of the plant. This is cutting, and now it's being put in another pot. So this is cutting. Layering involves rooting of the piece of the plant and then severing it. So rooting of a piece of a plant. And grafting means the two plants are combined or joined together, like the stem or root can be combined. And the stem of the plant, this can be grafted. This is known as scion. And the root, in this case, is known as stalk. Spore formation. Spore formation, you see, these are all spores. So spore formation is another method of asexual reproduction. So this involves specific reproductive parts like hyphae. You need these hyphae, say, in rhizopus. So this is spore formation in rhizopus, and a blob on a stick structure in rhizopus. These are involved in reproduction. So these are spores, this is sporangia, hyphae should be there, and these are the dispersing spores. This is also asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. Now in sexual reproduction, two different parent organisms should be involved. One is female, one is male. So two, you can say, parents are involved in order to create a child. What is the significance of sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction is a source of variation. You see, if you do asexual reproduction, then in most of the time the offspring is identical to the parent, one parent, you can say, in asexual reproduction, because one parent is only involved. But here there will be variation. So mixing of two organisms, this will give rise to new combinants or variants. So sexual reproduction, this involves mating of cells, also known as gametes. So these gametes are haploid in nature, that is, they have half set of chromosomes. That is why they are haploid. So these gametes are formed through the process of meiosis. When male gamete and female gamete, each with haploid means half set of chromosomes, they combine, they form a diploid. From haploid they form diploid, and that is called a zygote. This zygote, they undergo repeated divisions to form a new organism. In human, male gamete is small and motile, while female gamete, in humans, the male gamete is small while and it's quite motile, or motility is there, while in female gamete is large and it's virtually non-motile. How does sexual reproduction in plant take place, or in flowering plant take place? So flower is the reproductive structure found in angiosperms. Flower contains sepals, petals, stamens and pistils. If you see here closely, these are the petals, this is a stamen part, this is a carpel part. Carpel part is female part, stamen part is the male part. So we have anther and filament. For the female part, this is stigma, style, and these are the ovaries. And in the bottom part we see stem and receptacle, and we have sepals as well. This is the structure of a flower. So a flower is said to be unisexual, uni means one, if it contains both stamen and pistils. Whereas if both stamen and pistils are present, it is, because here you see stamen is also there and pistils are there. See, unisexual means either stamens or pistils, while if both are present, stamen and pistils both are there, then the plant will be known as bisexual. What? Bisexual. The papaya and watermelon, these are unisexual, while if you see mustard and hibiscus, these are bisexual. So the pistil or this carpel is the female reproductive structure. This consists of swollen basal part, which is known as the ovary, the middle elongated part, which is this one, which is middle elongated style, this one, and terminal stigma, this one. So ovary contain ovules, here it contains ovules, and each ovule will have a cell, egg cell. So stamen is here, the stamen is these are the male reproductive part, and they consist of anther and the stigma. This is stigma. So anther contains, actually the pollen grains are contained here. The anther contains the pollen grain. Now this is going to fuse with the female gamete, that is the egg. Here the egg is, here the pollen is there. So actually their combination has to be between pollen and the egg, which is found in ovary. So fusion lead to zygote formation. The combination of these two form a zygote formation. Now that forms a new plant. The transfer of the pollen grain from this anther, from here, from this anther, this is also anther. So the transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma hair of the flower, this is known as pollination. So when the pollen and stigma is of this same flower, we call it as, because this is happening in the same flower, we call it as self-pollination. And when pollen from one flower lands onto the stigma of, say, another flower, says there is some another flower here, like this. When it falls from here, the pollen from here to this ovary, this is known as cross-pollination. Gametogenesis. The formation of gametes is known as gametogenesis. So male gamete is pollen grains, while the female gamete is present in the ovary. So ovary contains ovule. Ovule contains female gametophyte. So ovule consists of outer layers as integuments, nucleus, and female gametophyte. So male and female gametes, they are produced and they are haploid in nature, means half chromosomes. So there are two types of gametes, homogametes and heterogametes. When this male and female gametes cannot be differentiated morphologically here. So this is known as homogametes. For instance, in algae, Cladophora, this is the case. But when the male and female gametes can be properly differentiated morphologically, this is known as heterogametes. Post-fertilization event. After first fertilization has happened, the most important post-fertilization structure is embryo and seeds. This zygote, they form embryo. So zygote first forms proembryo. Then it later converts into mature embryo. Seeds, they are the result of sexual reproduction. These ovules, they mature into seeds, whereas this ovary develop into the fruits. Double fertilization. The plants which are flowering, one sperm fertilizes one egg, right? Whereas the other sperm fuses with two polar nuclei forming endosperm. And this is known as double fertilization, because at the same time two fertilizations are going on. The zygotes, they are divided into 7-celled or form 7-celled and 8 nucleated embryo sac. And out of these 7-celled and 8 nuclei, there are 2 synagrids with egg cells and 3 antipodals and 2 polar nuclei. These are there. So 2 polar nuclei, they fuse with one sperm and other sperm fuses with egg cell to form the zygote. So this is the whole process of double fertilization. Reproduction in human beings. Human beings, one is male, the other is female. So male and female, they reproduce sexually. When the girls and boys, they attain puberty, that is now they are reproductively or sexually active, means there is a lot of change in their body. For example, hair in the armpit grow, genital regions, they also carry hair. So these are common to both males and females, armpit hair and genital region hair. So girls have increased breast size, darkening of the skin and the tip of the nipples. And in the males, there are thicky hair or hairy facial growth. The voice also changes. This is male reproductive system. So male reproductive system comprises of 2 testes and 2 testicle, you can say a pair of testes, then glands, accessory ducts and male genitalia. So testis is this side. This is the site where male gametes or the cells, germ cells are produced. And they are located outside the body. See, this is the body and this is located outside the body. Why? Because this is in order to lower the temperature. So they are located outside the abdominal cavity. This is a sac-like structure. This is known as scrotum. And this is, as I just said, that to maintain the lower temperature required for the formation of the sperm. And this testis produces male hormone which is known as testosterone. This is needed for the development of secondary sexual characteristics like beard, mustaches, and the development of sperm in males. This one is a duct. So when vas deferens, this is a duct that transport the sperm to urethra, means from here going right from this path coming to this path. So when vas deferens is a duct that transport the sperm to urethra, and which is the common passage for both urine and sperm ejaculation. The prostate glands, if you see here, this is prostate, and seminal vesicle, which you see here, these are also found in males in order to nourish and for easy transport of the sperm in the female genital tract. The Cowper's gland, this produces mucus-like fluid, because in female vagina there is a lot of acid, or the female vagina is acidic. So it produces mucus-like fluid that neutralizes the acidity of the female vagina. All these secretions along with sperm, they form semen. So this formation of male gametes or sperm in testes is known as spermatogenesis, and the sperms are haploid in nature. Haploid means half chromosomes. Semiferous or seminiferous tubules are the site of these spermatogenesis. So testes produce male hormones. As we said, this is testosterone. This is needed for secondary characteristic of a male, and as well as for the preparation of spermatogenesis. Female reproductive tract. This is female reproductive tract. It contains 2 ovaries. If you see, these are ovaries 1 and 2, a pair of ovaries, and uterus. This is a uterus. Then we have cervix and vagina and external genitalia, which covers the inner part. So female egg, or you can call it as ova, these are produced in ovary. This place it is produced, ovaries. The formation ova in ovary is known as oogenesis. So this ovary produces female hormone like estrogen and progesterone. These hormones are also needed for female sexual development and for pregnancy as well. The fallopian tube, this is a tube, see, this is a fallopian tube. So this fallopian tube carries ova from the ovary to the womb, and 2 oviduct join to form the uterus. This all is uterus. So uterus then opens to vagina through this cervix. Sperm enter into female through vagina here at the time of sexual intercourse or sex. Then the sperm reaches the fallopian tube where it fuses the ova to form the zygote, and this is known as fertilization. Then zygote divides into embryo, as you see here. This embryo now gets implanted into the uterus, and the embryo development occurs in uterus to form the fetus. So fetus is formed from embryo, and now the mother is supplying nutrition to the growing fetus using the placenta. This is the placenta. And placenta helps in the exchange of nutrients, the gases, and the removal of excretory products. And the development of the child inside the womb of the mother take around 9 months to complete. And after that there is a rhythmic uterine contraction that leads to delivery of baby outside the female body. So here, this is the fallopian tube, this is the placenta, uterus, fetus, amniotic fluids are there, and amnion is this, and this is the umbilical cord. Here, this is cervix, which closes the opening, and this is the vagina. So if the eggs are not fertilized, then what happens? the uterine lining here, this uterine lining sheds off in the form of fluid known as menstrual fluid, and this discharge occurs from the vagina in the form of blood and mucus, and this is known as menstruation, and this may take from 2 to 8 days. Normally it's 4 to 5 days average. Reproductive health. So this is defined as the state of well-being in terms of safe sex intercourse, reproductive fitness, as well as the absence of any reproductive disease. Because if there is an unsafe sex, it can lead to various diseases. These are known as sexually transmitted diseases, and there are certain sexually transmitted diseases like gonorrhea caused by bacteria, syphilis caused by bacteria, AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, and this is caused by HIV, immunodeficiency virus. IVF, this is an infertility treatment method. In this case, the egg and the sperm are taken out. This is fertilized with sperm which is taken out from the male and female body. The ovum is removed from the female body and it is allowed to fertilize with sperm outside the body in vitro condition. And once they are fertilized, they can be put inside the uterus so that the normal course can carry on. Birth control methods. In the developing country where population is increasing continuously, there is always a need of birth control methods. Condom and diaphragms. This is a condom. Condom and diaphragms, these are the barrier method for birth control. They prevent the sperm from coming in contact with the ovum. Chemical method of birth control, this includes pill. The control pills are there, vaginal pills are there, and intrauterine contraceptive. These are devices. These are used to prevent implantation of embryo in the uterus, like this. And surgical methods are also there, like the vasectomy in males and tubectomy in females. So vasectomy is done by cutting the vas deferens from where the sperm comes, and then you can see that it can be tied it up. Tubectomy involves cutting and tying of small portion of oviducts so that the ova shouldn't come.